And hello, everyone. I am the Rose Camper going live once again in this in the internet sphere. Hold on, let me turn this down. I can barely hear myself think here. And I hope everyone is doing well today. It's almost spooky season. We got Halloween just around the corner, and we're going to be painting some appropriately spooky things today. Got some vampires and a Klaxon Call Nightwalker all lined up from NGC. So yeah, enough yapping. Let's get right into it. All right, let's see. I think we're looking good. Back into it. I have changed the setup around recently, so it's a little bit more how I like it. Okay, I think we are good. Well, I hope everyone is doing well today. Getting back into this live stream, so where anything can happen, or everything can happen. And let's see here. So first, I'm gonna get some paints going, knock everything over as one is wont to do. And so I started off, I was working on trying to decide if I want to work on the vampires first or the Klaxon Call. Let's get the Klaxon Call just out of the way. So starting off, I'm going to get some Iron Rack skin onto this guy right here. And I don't want to use Citadel paints too much, but I like the skin tone today. Went a little bit too deep. All right, I think we are good to go here. All right, so I got my wet palette filled with the Iron Rack skin, and I'm just adding a thin layer, the whole of the bone of the creature. This guy is really creepy, and definitely just has kind of a unsettling presence on the battlefield. And these figures I'm painting today are the ones that were the most selected on my Discord. It's actually an equal tie, so I'm gonna try to get both done today. As always, my live stream is kind of limited by my by how long my children take naps, so we'll see how far we get today. Sure, back here for a backup. But yeah, I've been making some improvements on the setup, and I just kind of haven't been able to have time to do any live streaming. I like the nice yellowish grayish tone this color has. You of course can use like a bone color if you don't have this specific Citadel paint. Maybe mix a little bit of yellow and gray into it to kind of get this hue. But if you have a similar color in hand, it looks pretty good. And we will just make sure we add a nice good base coat. If you get some onto the kind of the entrails or whatever those things are on the creature, it's not the end of the world. We will be painting over that, kind of buffing that out. But try to avoid them if at all possible. This guy's pretty much just like painting a fancy skeleton. Um, which, you know, I always have a bunch of skeletons on hand just to kind of as warm-ups. I kind of teach you a lot of basics about layering and wash and all that stuff. We're just going along the length of the bone. I get all these corners and crevices here. If you notice, I shaved my beard. So I'm going as the Mandalorian for Halloween, and it's actually hard to wear a Mandalorian mask constantly. I kind of went to a trunk or treat with my kids the other day and did test it out with that mask back there, and it's a bit hard to walk. So I had this great idea to just try to get the Pascal mustache going, and just gonna leave the stubble as the beard. Let's just say I did not look very good with just a mustache. Pedro Pascal could rock it, but I could not. I looked, my life thought I looked a little creepy, to say the least. So I just kind of shaved it all off, so I'm baby faced. It grows pretty fast though, so I'm not too worried about it. We kind of chalk this one up to a generally bad idea. I have always wanted to just be a person who could effortlessly have a really good mustache, but my facial structure does not allow for that. My kids are getting to the age where we can't do group costumes anymore because we're all going as separate Mandalorians. My oldest is going to be Jango Fett. My youngest boy is going to be Boba Fett, and my girl is going to be Sabine from Rebels. And the Ahsoka show, but that's not really a Sabine. I don't really want to get into that. I mean, I can. Might as well, right? I mean, it's no secret that I am a Star Wars fan, but I I try not to be a disgruntled hate every. I actually try to enjoy Star Wars as a fan, but yeah, I had some problems with Ahsoka. Not even seeing Hayden Christensen and Clone Wars Army was enough to kind of bypass it. It seems like all these Disney Plus shows kind of have the same formula of having really strong like first episodes and a good middle episode, and then it kind of just falls off. Like they forget how to end a show. Part of it, I think, is just because it's really hard to tell a good story in 8 episodes. You know, a lot of shows need a couple seasons to really get their stride and become good. So it's just like you have 8 episodes to figure it out, tell this story that's supposed to be impactful, but not too impactful, lest people who don't watch the Star Wars shows are completely lost. So it's definitely just kind of it's a tough one to balance for sure. I mean, everyone knows Andor is pretty great, but that seems like they had someone come in and say, you know what? Let's think about how the story is going to end before it started. What's a logical course for this to go, and for our characters to have some sense of resolution. They didn't address every plot thread, but they also knew that they were going to be having a second season. I do find it funny that Andor gets 2 seasons, but Obi-Wan doesn't. I feel like there's a lot more story to tell there with Obi-Wan. But as it's just life, Ewan McGregor is probably a lot more expensive than Diego Luna. But I do like Diego Luna. It's just looking so creepy. he does give people chills, is the repeated feedback I've got from him. Is that he's just a creepy dude. Loosely based on Siren Head, this figure is a STL we had in GC found, and they're getting prepped for the new wave releasing. Play tested him. I'm actually the unit operator for this guy, so he's a fun one to have on the battlefield. It's not overpowered, I think. He's he plays a lot like Krug. You know who that is. All right, so we got our base layer of the bone done. Let's just, it's not touching. So let's get a base coat for the bells on now. I'm using Pro Acryl Dark Golden Brown, which might be one of my favorite paints. I just love the color and the utility of it. Pro Acryl, no secret on my part, but I really like their coverage, and I like their bottles. I see some feedback for people who don't like their bottles. I like the closed caps just because I am a forgetful person. I'm gonna go around, get all the bells. I want to get this wood pole as well too. Camera here. So I will be editing this into a little video later as well. This one you definitely want to try to distinguish the where the tendrils are. I'm gonna skip this. I'm sure it's fine. It's not mine. Not the vibe I'm going for today. That's the thing about royalty-free music, is sometimes it's good, sometimes I am just murdering myself today. Let me get a little bit of water. It's too much water. This is just an undercoat for when we apply the bronze coloring. I'll just make it appear a bit more dark rich. Make sure you get underneath. We're gonna go through. If you notice there's like little teeth and mouths, we're gonna definitely paint over that. Not many people will see it, but it's a fun little detail that's on these models. I'm just painting the wood the same color. Mainly because I'm lazy. But it's good enough brown for me for the wood. That's not good. You don't want to do that. It's okay. We can put a layer over it. I always say, if you keep your paints thin, you can really fix any horrendous mistake you make. You don't want to make them too thin, that they run and flow everywhere. That's definitely something you want to avoid. Let's get all these little curves and crevices as best as you can. I'm using it a bit thinner for the wood part so you can get that grain showing through. Just want to make sure the coverage is nice and even. Probably in the future, I would recommend to paint this part first, then the skin, but you know, I'm just being a generally messy boy here. We're good, but this was seemingly out of focus. There we go. I'm gonna let that dry a bit. We're gonna be applying some speed paints to this. We don't really want that to run. I'm just gonna get some paint directly out of the pot here. We'll let you sit, cook for a bit, let them cook. And we are going to do some vampires now while that's waiting. These are Heroes Cave vampires. We have Iskra, we have Sonya, and we have the Big Daddy vampire himself, Cyprin. He's always been one of the favorite of mine. He's kind of a devastating figure to play against in the right armies. As with any Heroes Cave figure, he's always susceptible to range, but he moves pretty fast. 8 stealth flying is crazy. All right, so we are going to get a bit of blue. Blue hasn't been completely deteriorated yet. And we are going to get some black if I can find any. No, I have some. I use, I use black for everything. Well, let's see here. Where would you be? I'm so disorganized. That's my it must have knocked it down. Let's see if I can find it. Aha! Hiding behind my. Nope. Let's see here. Oh, if you have me get up, I'm gonna be mad. You know what? Let's just get some black speed paint then. Oh, no, it's black wash. So we're just looking at. Where are you? Where are you? I apologize about this. Aha. Well, do I have any Vallejo black? I might be out of that. All right. Well, I need something. All right, let's see where that fell off to. Might have a bit left in here. I think no dice. Not enough to paint some vampires for sure. Alright, we'll have to go up and get some more. Maybe I could. Okay. I know what I'll. Thankfully, we did Zenithal highlight these so we can be a bit creative. And let's get our wee bit of blue here. Alright, perfect. There are many roads to Dublin. I should put this on my dry palette here. I'm always all over the place. Alright. Put that here. Just a tad bit of blue just to offset it. And work with some speed paints on the vampires then. Alright. I'm using the edge of my brush here just to mix it up really well. And let's see here. I think that'll look pretty good. Maybe a little bit too blue, but we can always layer up over it. Now, where did I put my vampires? Alright. So mixing the blue in just gives a bit of definition. We can frame here. There we go. A bit of definition. The problem once you have pure black, you have nowhere else to go. You have nothing else to build down to. You can't really do the shadows. You can always do the highlights, but it's hard to get like contrast on like this relatively flat cloak right here. And also just tinting your black. You of course can tint it with other colors like yellow or brown, traditionally used as well. It just allows you to differentiate it if you have a couple different types of black on your figure. These guys have black hair and a black cape. I want the cape to kind of not look like a hair extension. Yeah, we'll have to see where my black. Oh, of course, it's right here. That's usually how it works. All right, well, we'll do the one with the speed paint method, and then we'll. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I did do the Zenithal highlight, so it's definitely coming through. I might actually just keep it like this. I have a spooky. These corners here. What's that? Yeah, definitely want to make sure you get all around the figure. And when you do speed paints, have it stand straight up so it can flow down naturally. Let's just do all their capes as such. Wait, I think Cyprian has. Thank you, Methodio Catrell. I don't know why I get rid of these. There we go. Okay. All right, there we go. Get rid of that robot. Sure, you'll seek revenge once they take over, but for now, go on with your life. Now these are nice, smooth surfaces for the cape, so you definitely want to take your time and just let it flow down naturally. I think he has a red cape. I just said that. Oh well. I will give it a nice little cool undertone, and then I will layer that up. Should probably look at what these guys look like. Probably would be helpful. I have the figures, but I'll just Google search it. Oh yeah, this guy defo has a red cape, red armor. That's fine. We will fix accordingly. You can always fix your mistakes. All right. It'll be fun working on the red armor in these guys for sure. On this guy at least. I love the richness the blue and the black gives for these kind of leather kind of capes, though. It looks really nice once you kind of let it dry, and has a little bit of highlights and scratching detail to it. Speed paints work the best when you use a Synthol or Slapshot method to really kind of accentuate the varying degrees of light and contrast. All right, focus has gone out. Let's see that there we go. Fuck to it, as they say. For some reason on Twitch, this is cropping in more than I would like it to. All right, let's see here. So we got this going. Got some capes put on. Let's get back to our Klats and Coal. When you paint, it's always good to have a couple things working on. Traditionally, it's best to have them be in the same color group so that you don't have to get a bunch of different paints in the palette. But it's all just a preference. I wanted to get these guys done today. This. Just a whole other layer to this. This is a very fun one to dry brush. It's got some fun details. The dog hair off the model. I have a golden retriever, and he is the bane of I do. It's definitely going to be a shorter stream today. I am going to go to a party today and see The Thing and The Thing, the prequel to the Thing, John Carpenter, which I've never seen the prequel, so I'm excited to see how that turns out. The Thing by John Carpenter, of course, is one of my favorite movies of all time. I really like John Carpenter. He's a bit kind of hacky, but he's good. You know, you can be both. Like if John Carpenter made his movies today, I don't think they would be as loved as much. Uh, but he's a darn good director. Definitely a product of his time. All right, we are getting there. The thing about this guy is if you're kind of a little bit messy with it, it doesn't really matter because he's just a grimy little dude. You know, he is not. All right, let's get rid of this. I'm just not in the mood for some of this kind of stuff. I want the spooky Halloween stuff. You know, the orchestral stuff. Stuff that would make Jack Skellington grin from ear to ear. All right, so let's really take a step and just buff up these veins real fast. You know what? Let's get the bronze going on the head too. There's my bronze. I normally have all this stuff laid out, but you know what? Today is just one of those days. I just want to get paint a stream going. It's not always put together. When you watch these streams, it's definitely me just doing it at my own pace. My edited stuff is a lot more put together. Alright, let's put you onto the AP. You gotta shake it up really good. There. Alright, let's get that paint on here. Bro Jr. is stopping by to say hi. So for this, I am doing a partial dry brush method here. Here. All right, so let's just get these helmets done. Doing a thin layer. So notice that brown kind of makes it look all dingy and just dilapidated here. That's what we're going for. You could of course use gold if you want a bit more bright. I might actually layer these up to gold, but bronze is a good place to start. Okay. There's one over there. We'll have to fix. Really? I know, bud. All right, here. All this done. Now let's clean our brush and let us lighten up some things. All right, so you want an old brush, thin one, a bit of a frayed edge. Let's see if I got one around here. Let's see here. Something like this. You're white, and get all the excess out. I have here a textured dry palette, which is really good for this kind of stuff. All right, so I'm just going to maybe have a little bit more on it. All right, so I'm just going to go here and just dry brush these tendrils right here. On camera, they probably look like they're already white, but they're actually kind of a light gray primer I use. So just kind of get that little bit of contrast. I didn't use zenithal for this guy, but you could definitely do a zenithal method if you wanted to do that. But it's not really a need. While you're at it, just add some slight white dry brushing to the bone structures as well. Toes. You get that rib cage. You want to emphasize that. And this is me being a bit extra. If you really don't want to do all this, you could just do 2 layers of speed paint, like the bone color and the red blood color. You'd be good to go. But this just makes it pop a bit more when it's on the battlefield. All right, here. Let's see here. Okay, let's do 1, It's passing that. Looking pretty creepy once we put the wash on. Cool. A little bit of the wood too. We're gonna be using a brown wash, so it's gonna blend it. Typically, you don't want to dry brush with just pure white, but the colors on this model kind of all look good. Righty. And I probably not going to do the other side. Yeah, let's just do it. We'll bring it up. Get the teeth. Okay, now that we've clearly added some distinction there, we are going to first get some speed paint. This is a good model for speed paint because those tendrils are kind of a pain to paint individually. You, of course, can paint them with just normal paint if you don't have access to speed paint, but, you know, if you gotta use it. It'll save you a lot of time, and I think it looks even better. Where did I? I have some express color. Let me try that. It's a little bit too much. But, you know, come see, come saw. Let's see how this looks here. That's nice. All right, so you just want to trace. Ooh, not do that. You want to. Trace these sinuous veins. Try not to get any on the arms you've done so far, but if you do, just kind of repeat the steps and layer back over it once this paint dries. If you're not liking the look or color of these, you play with kids, you could always paint these like a bright green speed paint or bright blue to make it look a little bit less visceral. That's the fun thing about painting. You can kind of make it as intense or as non-intense as you like. All right, so this part right here, definitely careful strokes. And this one's probably going to be a bit of a layering over. There's just some tight areas your brush may catch. That's okay. I'm probably doing this out of order. Probably should have done this part first, but I was impatient. And this is just a lot of following the lines. I haven't worked much with Vallejo Express colors, but so far they're looking pretty good on this figure. A little bit less runny than Army paints. Which is good for like flatter surfaces, gives you a bit more control. The thing is not to get impatient. Take your time. I get down. You don't like the song. I do not get down. Well, I don't know what that means, but maybe. I rarely get up out of bed. Yeah, going back, I definitely would have painted the red first, and then layered that the white over, but it's fixable. I'm just getting the underside of these things. So I'm just gonna dry brush the teeth back to white. Fill the whole rim up. Alright, that is looking appropriately terrifying. Gonna let that dry. I'm gonna mix a little bit of gold with bronze. Oh, that's too much. Buff it up a bit. Seems like the first pass, I definitely missed a lot of the corners around the edge. So that gold bronze mix definitely kind of gives it that beat up look I'm going for. I'm kind of applying it inconsistently. Right. I'm just going through right now and making sure I got all the little pieces. very, very scary. I have so much of this on. I'll just use the red speed paints on full Cypern here. These 3D scans don't have a lot of detail, so usually it is a good idea to use some speed paints on them so you don't even cover up the details with the slightest bit of overdoing. I'm actually liking how this is applying. It's nice and visceral. I'll go through and manually paint the black part separately. The Lord of the Night, the ones to be painted red. I am getting some mid-brown from Army Painter Wash. Yeah, it's probably a bit too dark. This will look good on this part, though. Do more of a flesh colored wash for this. This is what I've decided. You know what? I think what I did for the picture, get some flesh wash. Shake that up really good. A bit more of a fleshy bone feel. Really let that wash to its magic here. I'm using Army Painter for this because they really do act as like a good kind of a gloss over the whole thing. All that dry brushing work is really going to come through for this. Let's get a bit more. I'm going to have to fix that leg right there. I was a little messy with that. And definitely with Army Painter, you want to apply this stuff on thick. Because it dries a lot lighter. Oh, those little ridges and shadows. Kind of. I want this to look really messy, so I'm just kind of slapping it on there. Behind his hands. All right. And so, of course, we're going to go through, we're going to touch this up one more time, add another layer of dry brush. But for the most part, this is what it will look like once it's done. Very creepy, very easy to paint. A couple colors. Add some silvers there. Fill in some of this area over here I messed up on. And just add a slight dry brush to kind of buff this back up again. But yeah, it looks pretty creepy. It looks pretty cool. And it'll definitely it'll freak your players out if you play it. Well, I am the Roguescaper. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've got to go take care of my children. I hear them screaming and pounding at the door like Balrogs of old. So, I bid thee adieu. Happy Halloween. Stay spooky. And I will be streaming in the future some more stuff. Look at these hands. These are painter's hands. Thank you, everybody. And reminder that if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube, please do so. As we have some cool giveaways in my last video I mentioned there for some cool scape and painting stuff. And I will shout that out and encouraging you all to think differently. I'm the Roguescaper, and you all have a great Halloween.